It's Mack. Welcome back. Episode 20 of Icebreaker. And of course, joined by AJ. How are you?
Doing very well. I don't know if the folks who are listening actually know how big a Bengals fan I am. And
Yeah.
so for Joe Burrow to pick up the first win, big win for the Bengals, suck at Jacksonville.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Big Bengals win. And before we get into that, just want to mention that episode 20 is presented by 204 Property Restoration Services. And they're a preferred contractor for insurance providers in Manitoba, specializing in property loss and restoration services. So check them out. It's 204 Property Restoration Services. Now back to the NFL. Yeah. Joe Burrow, first win. I told you he's the real deal.
He really is. And, you know, I remember watching the first couple of weeks and the announcers were really hyping him up, but it's tough to hype up a QB who's losing.
Yeah.
And so they just kept saying, oh, he's going to be special. But today, I think not only that, but the run game helped Cincinnati too. Joe Mixon finally got some rushing yards.
Yeah, there's no question. And just for Joe to get that first win, I think is going to be huge just for confidence. I mean, he's lost a couple close games, then he's tied, which is just the most annoying thing in the world is a tie, right?
Biggest test for Joe Burrow already comes next week. Cincinnati, Baltimore. First time they're going to meet.
Yeah, and Baltimore didn't look that good last Monday.
Well, and then again, they played the Skins this week, so
Right.
I'm not
No,
supposed to
the
call them that.
Washington.
They played the football team.
That's right. They played the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see about that. And then obviously big news out of the NFL with the Patriots game getting pushed to Monday. Patriots Chiefs.
What is bigger news, that Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19 or that 20 Tennessee Titans tested positive for COVID-19?
That Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19.
I heard on just watching the pre-games today too that the NFL is already investigating that to see if Cam broke protocol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they must.
Is this just another thing? Like when baseball came back, they were pretty good for about a week, and then Miami Marlins and then a few of the Phillies started to test positive. But it kind of smoothed itself out after that.
It did, yeah. They got it under control, and
Yeah.
hopefully the NFL can do the same because there was another game, right, that was already like canceled this week and it's being postponed.
That was Tennessee, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And now because they continue to test positive, like on Sunday today, while we're recording this, I said they're up to 20. They got a couple more today. They're already worried about Titans Bills next weekend.
Oh, really?
Because Tennessee hasn't even opened their facility yet.
Wow.
So now all of a sudden, how are you going to postpone 2 games? It was easy enough to kind of move it around with bye weeks, but this could get pretty serious pretty quick.
Yeah, and fingers crossed that it doesn't, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy times. Hopefully they can get it under control. Big week, though. It's the NHL Draft. And on today's episode, we have 3 Winnipeg ICE players that could potentially hear their name get called. But nonetheless, it's a huge week for a lot of young players that have been waiting a long time for this.
Yeah, and in a completely different sense of the world. Like a lot of these guys didn't even get to finish out their season.
Exactly.
And to be drafted on that. What are your thoughts going into this draft? How do you think the teams are treating it?
I'm not sure. I think that they only can go off what they saw, right? And it's not like some players got to continue playing. Everybody stopped at the same time. So it was, what you did before the stoppage. But I mean, we'll see. It's going to be interesting because the NHL draft now is done via Zoom, right? And the players aren't there. And we've seen it with the NFL draft. But I'm interested to see if they learn from the NHL draft. Like I love seeing these like new productions of how Zoom is done. And obviously there's been some award shows and they've done a great job. So I'm interested to see what the NHL does.
So long as they pipe in booze for Gary Bettman every time. So long as they pipe in the booze, I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. That'd be pretty cool. I'm interested. I love the first round and see like who goes where but then I also like the later rounds. As the years play out, you get to see who the late round stakes were.
That's fair. 2 questions, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Do you have a beat on who you think is going first overall this year?
Wow. I mean, everyone's saying it's going to be Alexis Lafreniere, but
Mhm.
who knows, right? Until it's official.
And do you have a favorite? This one's putting you on the spot, Mac. Do you have a favorite late round pick who's gone on to do very well in the NHL?
Well, you definitely did put me on the spot.
I know.
Wow. Uh, well, Pavel Datsuk was a late round stake, and he sticks out to me. Obviously, he doesn't play anymore, but he was a late round stake. So was Henrik Zetterberg. Those couple of years, they did a real good job.
I couldn't have thought of anybody better.
Yeah.
Datsuk would be high up on my list too.
Yeah. So I would probably go with them. And then staying on the hockey side of things, the Manitoba Junior Hockey League officially gets underway this coming Friday.
How excited, and you're in a little bit closer contact, how excited are these kids to be skating and to be playing this season?
They're ecstatic. You can just tell, just obviously from being around the rink and practicing. And we talked to a few of them after their exhibition games, and they were just all super excited to be back competing. So, I mean, now it's for keeps, right? The exhibition games are one thing, but now, it's for keeps. It's a shortened season, and every game matters that much more. And I mean, obviously capacity is going to be limited, but so far it's been great. People have been super respectful and following guidelines, and I expect that to continue. And the kids are having fun. That's the main part.
This might sound like a cheap plug, but I am genuinely interested. How do people just go about to get tickets? Do you have to go through the Flex Pass to get guaranteed a seat, or are there actual not walk-up tickets, but can you get tickets the day of the games?
No, so you can get the access passes, of course, for the Freeze and the Blues, but then a week before every home game online, there'll be individual game tickets. So for this Friday and Saturday, WinnipegBlues.ca or Winnipeg or WPGFreeze.ca, and there's individual game tickets there for the home openers.
Cannot wait for this rivalry, by the way. It already started in the exhibition games. It's going to be really, really hot this year.
And it was heating up by the final exhibition game was Sunday afternoon, and it was heating up. And I don't know if I think when you just play a team over and over and over, like whether you want a rivalry to happen or not, it just happens.
That's how a lot of the famous rivalries were bred. Montreal-Boston comes to mind right away. Just you play each other so much, and it just boils your blood. This is going to be a fun season.
Exactly. No, I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited to get that hockey going and get that underway. You got any feeling on the NBA Finals here?
You know what? No. And I think maybe it's me being inundated with NHL playoffs, MLB playoffs, NBA playoffs, and the start of the NFL season all at once. But I'm kind of all in on the NFL. I phase myself kind of outside of the NBA.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm interested in the NBA Finals. I like to watch. I like to see championships. So whatever sport that would be, when people celebrate, it gives me the chills. But I'm going to give us a hot take here. We got a new segment to the episode. Okay. Yeah, new segment to the episode, and it's my Manitoba Building and Trades hot take. And that is, as we record this, it is Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Right.
And if the Miami Heat win tonight, they will win the series. That is my Manitoba Building and Trades hot take.
Oh, so you're saying a Heat win tonight, they're going to run the gamut, and they're going to win the series.
It's over if they win tonight.
Hot take Heisinger, right on. I like that.
Yeah, there we go. We were talking before the show, and a little bit last week, we kind of led into it too, about you picked Thanksgiving as your favorite part about the fall.
Oh, baby, yeah.
So that got me thinking, what are your top 3 Thanksgiving food items that are placed on the table?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So this is our draft. We're going to go with the best Thanksgiving food items on the table. Okay. I think we can do that. I get to pick first?
You always get to pick first.
What a terrific tradition. I'm going with the mother of all Thanksgiving. I'm taking the turkey off the board.
It wouldn't even have crossed my mind.
Turkey isn't on your radar when it comes to Thanksgiving food?
I don't like turkey at all.
Oh, man. I should have saved my pick then. I could have saved that for the third pick. All right.
You could have.
Yeah.
My first pick Apple pie. I'm going right into the desserts.
You're
Apple
that guy
pie.
at the family, and everybody's starting to tuck into the meats, and you're looking for the pie.
I'm looking for dessert 10 times out of 10.
All right, my second pick. This is I can't believe this is coming up already in a week. Second best Thanksgiving food to go with the turkey, the mashed potatoes. Because you
Oh,
got to
that's a good
scoop them
one.
up. You got to eat them together, nice and creamy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's for sure a good one. I'm going to stay along the same lines as that for my second pick because we have two options of potatoes. We have the mashed potatoes, but then we also have the cheesy potato casserole.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I love it.
Oh, I'm getting hungry already for this weekend, Mac. My third pick, it's going to be a little quaint, but I think it's essential for Thanksgiving dinner. I got the turkey already, and I got the mashed potatoes on my plate. I'm taking gravy.
Oh,
It just ties the whole plate together.
the gravy boat.
Yeah. Yeah, think
Wow.
about it. Think about just sitting there. You're getting your meats and you're getting your stuff and your stuffings on the thing and no gravy.
Are you drooling a little bit right now?
You'd flip the table, Mac, maybe a little bit.
And I think with my last pick, I think it's one of the most underappreciated yet most essential items
Don't do it.
on a table.
Don't do it.
And that is the buns or the rolls.
I'm proud of you. I honestly thought you were headed in the route of the cranberry, and I was going to shut this meeting down.
I've would never put that in my body. Well, make sure to check us out on social media at Icebreaker Show with 2Ws, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Always appreciate it, and always appreciate the listens wherever you listen to the podcast or watch it on YouTube. So thank you for that. We got a great episode, as mentioned earlier. A little bit of a draft day, NHL draft special. We have on the show Connor McClennon, Owen Pederson, and Ben Zloty, who are all among the NHL Central Scouting ranked North American skaters, which is exciting. They all play for the Winnipeg ICE, and wishing them the best of luck here on Tuesday and Wednesday, hoping to get their names called. And a little bit later in the show, we have Mitch Peacock, who is the play-by-play announcer for the ICE and got to watch these players play all year long. And, he talks about them a little bit and what he thought of them this season and what kind of players and people they are. So that was a great segment as well. And that's a little bit later in the show. So I hope you enjoy that. But without further ado, we have our first time with three guests on at the same time. So please welcome Connor McClennon, Owen Pederson, and Ben Zloty to the show. How's it going, guys?
Going good. Yourself?
Yeah, you know what? I can't complain. We're a little bit delayed here on recording. If one of you guys want to fill in the listeners.
Yeah, my bad. I had some priorities to take care of.
Last time we chatted, your priorities were video gaming.
Yeah, things have changed. Big outdoors guy, actually up at my ranch right now in Turtle Lake. Just giving my uncle a hand up here guiding, but other than that, nothing too crazy.
Benny, what have you been up to?
Just sticking to the same routine. Just waiting for the season to start, trying to find out what's going on. But other than that, been pretty good.
So obviously it's obviously been a weird off season, an extended off season. And part of that was obviously the NHL returning to play, and that pushed the draft back. When did you guys find out about that? And has it changed your mentality at all?
For me, not a whole bunch. I mean, you kind of hope for it to go when it did, just so you can almost get it over with, because you have to wait so long now. It's on your mind. You got people asking you, but it'll obviously be a cool day, and just looking forward to it, I guess.
Yeah, for me, I just honestly try just not to think about it. Just whatever, whenever it is, it's whatever. Just if happens to go my way, that's great. But if not, no worries. And just try to just focus on getting better this summer, not really the draft or anything.
Yeah, for me, not really thinking about it too much. Just trying to get better on the ice and physically. But obviously it sticks in your head a little bit, but I try not to focus on it that much.
I know during the season, as the season started to progress, I mean, you guys all had great years, and then the Central Scouting rankings started to come out, and you guys were all three on there. Was that a pretty cool list to make?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, having a trio of guys is pretty good for the same team. I mean, don't see that very often where 3 guys same age getting ranked on it. So I think it was just cool to have all 3 of us on it.
Yeah, like you said, it was cool. I mean, seeing all us 3 on it, like it's cool to see.
Yeah, for me, I wasn't really expecting to be on it, but when I saw it, I was pretty hyped up and just use it as motivation to stay on the list and get better, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know all 3 of you guys basically had career years this year. What did you do last season there to prepare coming into the 2019 season or the last off season?
I think just preparation. I mean, playing your first year in the league, and you kind of get to learn a little bit about the league and get comfortable around it. So I think just knowing what to expect is kind of the biggest part. Knowing how big and strong and tough the league is to prepare yourself for the next year, I think was probably the most important part for me.
Yeah, for me, starting last year in midget and getting able to play the second half in the WHL was huge. I mean, bit of a feeling out process. You get to know what the league's all about, and it gives you a lot more confidence going into the next year. So I think that was big for me.
Yeah, for me, I think the big thing was confidence, just knowing that I can play there and still doing the things I did when I was younger and just playing at that pace and playing with bigger guys. It's awesome.
Now we're going to get into a little bit of the meteor stuff here. I know all 3 of you guys have been contacted by NHL teams. What's the weirdest question that you've been asked?
For me, I think it was I forget what team I was meeting with, but I just met him, just sat down, and I think it was either one of the first questions or if not the first question, he was just like, "What's your favorite drink?" And I'm like, "Usually I just get an iced tea." He's like, "No, I meant alcoholic." I'm like, just kind of caught me off guard, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. I hope you said I don't drink.
Yeah, I did.
For me, I'd say it was a little trick question thrown in there. It was rank the hardest workers on a team, and kind of caught me off guard a little bit. So I start ranking some guys off, and he says, "Not you," and I was like, "Oh, you got me with that one." So probably that.
You didn't put yourself at the top of the
Mitch
list?
Peacock and Mack.
I was trying to promote my teammates, so.
Yeah, for me, one scout asked me about my golf game for some reason, and I just said, like, it's okay, like, I'm not the best. And then he started going in depth, like, asking me about my drive and stuff, my clubs, and I was like, I don't know why we're talking about golf right now. Like, it's hockey, but yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing.
Have you guys leaned
Did you
on
tell
Krebs?
him?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask Owen if he has been worried about his hockey more than his golf game.
Well, I guess we could, now that we're bringing it up, I won $20 off Klenner last weekend and playing against each other in golf. So yeah, that was good.
Well, when I got to give him 15 strokes, it's kind of hard to win.
Oh, we were playing handicaps.
Tell you what, if I was there,
Yeah.
different story.
I bet.
Benny was telling me that he was a really good golfer back in the day.
Oh, I used to play a lot. I mean, shooting under 80, 14 years old. 36 holes 4 times a week. Easy. Oh, Brian, not the tips, but you know what? It was pretty close. I'm only 14.
Have you guys, I know during the season you guys are all together. Have you guys been leaning on Peyton Krebs at all going into this experience, having gone through it last year?
Yeah, I think just definitely in the season when you're talking to teams quite a bit and whatnot, he's a good guy to talk to because obviously he went through it last year. But right now, I mean, I haven't talked to a team in a little while here, but when I was doing those Zooms and whatnot, Krebsy was a good guy to talk to, and I mean, probably reach out to him a day or two before the draft and just kind of ask him a couple questions or whatnot. But he's definitely a good guy to lean on.
Yeah, for sure. He's He's been there, so he knows what's going on, and he can always give you good advice and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's a guy that obviously went through the same process. Bit different circumstances, as he was fairly high ranked, but no, he's a guy that's been there and a guy that you could talk to for sure, and he'll give you good advice for it.
And then I know that Owen and Ben, you guys were saying before that you've been talking to James Patrick a little bit lead in the summer and lead into this. What has he told you guys and advice he's offered?
Yeah, no, we do calls weekly. I think our whole team does, and he's just said no matter what happens, it doesn't matter. Like, my name's out there now. Like, I don't have to get drafted I've already been recognized. So it's not, whether I get drafted or not is not the end of the world, is really what he said.
Yeah, for me, he's just checking in, asking what I'm doing for training and stuff, and he's just calm with me. He's just giving me some confidence. He's telling me some stuff, so it's good to hear from him every week.
Yeah, I think just having Jeep there, reminding you that the draft is and everything, I think just to keep you honest, so obviously go enjoy it. It'll be exciting times, but I mean, the work's surely just starting is kind of how he told it to me, and make sure you're taking care of things when you're in the gym and on the ice this summer, because really the bigger picture's right after the draft.
Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a hectic day, and I'm not going to pretend I've ever went through anything like that, because quite frankly, I wasn't a great hockey player. But you got anything planned, or is it more just trying to pass the day or pass the couple days and stay busy?
I'm actually going golfing, so try not to think about it. And
That's,
if I happen to get picked, it's great. But if not, I'll just focus on my golf.
It's funny you say that. I had Bart's on the show, Dawson Bartow, a couple weeks back, and I asked him about his draft day, and he said the same thing. He went golfing. He wasn't really expecting to be drafted, and then his phone started blowing up. So I like that plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'll probably just be hanging out with some buddies. Probably watch a draft. It's gonna be cool to see who goes, especially with these two. I think they'll definitely go, and it'll just be really cool to see who goes.
Yeah, nothing really planned too much. Maybe get out for a golf game in the morning, and then probably spend it with family. I'm hoping to hear my name called, and then other than that, nothing too crazy. Just kind of spend the day with your friends and family.
Well, listen, fellas, I appreciate you taking the time tonight, albeit a little bit late. We're not going to name any names here, but no matter what happens, wish you guys all the best. And I know for a fact that you guys got long careers ahead of you.
Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks, Mac.
Oh, it's great chatting with those guys and wishing them the best of luck this week, in hopes that they hear their names get called. Terrific people and great hockey players as well. And now we're joined by the voice of the Winnipeg ICE, who had the pleasure of watching these three young men play all season long. Mitch Peacock, welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Good. I guess first off, what can you tell us about those three players?
Well, what a pleasure it was to watch them work last year. I mean, every one of them made great progress, made huge contributions to the team. It's always interesting to watch players in the draft year, because some of them, are distracted by it and can get off of their games. Others rise to the challenge. I thought all three players did that. And so it's an exciting time for these guys, and something they've been waiting for a long time, given the circumstances. So I give them credit for hanging in there, as everybody is during these difficult times. And I should say, I hope everybody's doing well and feeling okay at these tough times. But yeah, a lot of fun, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a dynamic here with two forwards and a defenseman. And I know midway through the season, they were all added to the NHL Central scouting list. Obviously, Owen Pederson had a breakout season for the Ice this year.
Yeah, he sure did. What a season. I mean, one of the things that's interesting to me Mack, is always how a player plays with good players. And can he lift himself to that level? Can he make a line better playing with good players? And I really thought that Owen Pederson did a terrific job when he was asked to change his role, moved from playing a lot of center ice early on in the year to playing on the wing, getting a chance to play with Peyton Krebs and Connor McClennon. When Michael Tepley went to the World Junior, when Connor was injured, he had a chance to play with Tepley and Krebs, and didn't miss a beat. Just looked very comfortable. Great hockey sense, great instincts, knew what he did well, took the coaching well, worked with his teammates in a good way, showed some really good hands around the net. I think maybe surprised some people with his ability to finish. For him to score 28 goals in his first full season in the league is very impressive. And I think the thing that stands out about Owen is how coachable he is and what a good learner he is. And I think when you have an opportunity to take a player like that with a person like James Patrick and his staff, it's really promising for what could happen still for this player. I mean, let's not forget how young they are. But yeah, just a terrific season for Owen Pederson. And if I'm Owen Pederson, I'm pretty excited because I still think I can get a lot better. I think he can be a better skater. He can be stronger. And with his smarts, there's some really good potential here for growth. This is a guy that climbed to 103 in the final rankings. And, who knows with playoffs where that would have gone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you bring it up, a good hands around the net, because I was talking to Owen a couple days ago and we were laughing about his highlight video. He said, all the goals that you put in there, I was standing at the net. And I said, well, good things happen when you go to the net.
That's right. They certainly do. And it reminds me of a player who was well known in these parts with the Manitoba Moose a few years back as the captain of the team, Patrice Cormier. And Patrice used to get those goals in and around the net. Was a hardworking guy who would go to the dirty areas. And he had a hat trick one time in a game in Rockford. And I interviewed him afterwards, and he referred to it as the 9-foot hat trick. And I said, the 9-foot hat trick, what's that? He said, well, when you add up the distance of all 3 goals, it totaled 9 feet. And Owen Pederson's got some of that in his game too. And as you said, you've got to be, to have a successful team. We just watched the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. You've got to have players who want to go to those places to try and get that puck across the line. And that's another element to his game that he deserves credit for. It's easy to be a big guy. It's another thing to get in there and get your nose dirty.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you mentioned, he had the opportunity to play with Connor McClennon early in the season before he went down with injury, and at that point was leading the ice in scoring.
Connor McClennon had an exceptional season. I mean, this is a guy that people have been watching for a long time. Second overall pick in the Bantam Draft 3 years ago in Hockey Canada's programs, high skill level, great vision, great passer, excellent stick handler. And I think what I like about Connor McClennon is despite all of his skills, he's a competitive guy. He wants to win. When the game's on, he's a gamer. Let's go. He wants to, if the harder the game, the more excited he is. The bigger the game, the more excited he is. And so I know that people will look at Connor McClennon and say, well, he's 5'9" or whatever his height might be, that they're concerned about that. But I see a guy who loves to win and who wants to show people he can make a difference, who's got good skills. And I think, coming off of this injury, seeing his draft ranking dip a little bit, you're only going to see a competitive guy get more competitive. This is a guy who loves to do the work, will put the time in, will get stronger. And I think, and I don't mean this the wrong way because he is coming off of a collarbone injury, but I think he's going to have a chip in his shoulder because I think he's going to want to show people that anybody who thinks that, he may be missing this or missing that or didn't come through the way they would have thought, he's going to want to show them. And I think, management types in hockey that love motivated players. And I don't see this guy ever lacking motivation.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And a lot of people, when you just watch him, he's a flashy player, but you're right. He's got edge, and he's a gamer, and he gets down to it when he has to. But his shot's pretty incredible.
Terrific shot. And we talked about him being a guy who likes to do the work. And you and I are around practice all the time. And we see those guys who come out early and who stay out late. We see those guys who work on the little things to try and make themselves better. And Connor McClennon is one of those guys, always working, always trying to do something else. I think Peyton Krebs sets the standard for the team. And the guys all pick up on it and are all better for it. But there are those guys that just do that much extra. And I think Connor's that guy. He's willing to do that work. And, it's one thing to be motivated by what the other team does, or maybe somebody trying to throw you off, or maybe what somebody says about your game. But I think the guys that are the most impressive to me are the guys that are motivated themselves. And I see Connor as a guy who just wants to be better. He's out there after practice shooting pucks, and you can see him pressing down on the shaft of his stick or slamming his blade into the ice because the shot didn't hit the corner of the net just the way he wanted it to, and he's going to fire 5 more before he goes off because he wants to have that feeling for the next game. And I think that's a real feather in his cap too.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I was putting together some clips of Ben Zloty the other day, and the seam passes that he seems to find is incredible. Like, don't leave a seam open, he'll find it.
Really interesting the way that sort of James Patrick knew it, the staff knew it. I'm sure that the management of the team knew it too. But for me, I wasn't that familiar with Ben as a player. And early on in the year, seeing him used the way he was in 5-on-5 situations. I mean, let's remember, this guy only played 3 games in major junior hockey before last season. This is not a guy who's had a ton of experience at this level. So you see him in third pairing roles. You see him being managed 5-on-5 in a certain way. And then all of a sudden he's on the power play and you're going, oh, that's interesting. Ben's getting a chance in the power play. And then you see the passes and you see his vision and his awareness and his offensive instincts. And you go, there's something here. And don't take it from me. Take it from the scouts who decided, this guy better be on the list, even if it is in a modest spot at this point in his career. But this might be, one of those things when scouts are looking at a player that they might have that one tucked away in the back of their minds as far as, a value, because this guy's nowhere near as good as he's going to be too, and he doesn't have that experience at this level yet. And he's only going to get stronger, skates really well to go along with his passing. Had a chance to play some second pairing minutes in different situations, depending on what was happening with the team. Looked like he could come into that. I think he ended up a plus and plus minus for whatever that's worth. I know people don't love that stat anymore. Back to your original point and your comment, really can pick up a pass. And again, we talked about Owen being able to play with good players. Ben could jump right in on a power play with the skill level of those guys and help those guys to be their best. So those are good qualities.
And he was a player that at the start of the season was fighting his way into the lineup, and he was in and out. And then it kind of seemed around November, it was he proved himself as a mainstay.
And what's interesting about that to me, Mack, is that every coach will tell you the season gets tougher as it goes along. It's one thing to work your way through training camp, another to get through the first 10, 15 games of the season. What's it like once you start getting on the road and playing in some of those tough buildings? And remember, that's what the Ice did at that time of the year. They went down to the United States. They had to play in some real tough spots. He started to look like he could play the role. Season went along. You get into after Christmas. Now you're really digging in. You're getting into that stretch. Can you deal with the grind? Can you pick up points when you're trying to stay in a playoff race? Ben just kept going right along. So again, those are the things you watch for. And those are the things I think that impress people, is that as things got more difficult and more challenging, he was right there able to do the job.
And last one for you. I know that you're around the team a lot, and were around the team a lot in the last season. What can you tell the listeners about what kind of people they are?
Oh, well, that's the best part of the job. One of the things that I wondered about going into the year, because it had been a while since I worked with junior age players, is what the personalities would be like. But no matter what league you're in, you want to be around quality people. You want to be around humble people. You want to be around people who respect the leadership of the team, whether it's the coaches or the training staff or the equipment staff or medical staff, whoever it might be. You want to be around respectful, honest, hardworking, disciplined people, because that's what you expect of yourself, and that's what you want to associate with. And I think when people say, that's my favorite team, you want them to know that your favorite team is made up of good people. And so for me, that was an exciting part of it. As I jumped right in with the team. You might remember, for a 3-3 on the road when I started. And I thought, what am I getting myself into? And it was really easy to spot very quickly that these were good, well-rounded young men, ready to try and make the best of themselves as players and to try and make things work here in Winnipeg. And so really easy to just say what a privilege it was to work with these guys. And I think people can feel good about cheering for the Winnipeg Ice.
Well, listen, Mitch, I appreciate you joining the show.
Yeah, happy to be along. Nice to talk with you.
Well, that'll do it for episode 20 of Icebreaker. Big milestone, episode 20. Thanks again for all the listens and views. I really appreciate it. And hope you have a great week. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.